So according to pretty much every homelab forum on the internet, I've built my setup completely wrong. I've got a closed source OS from a Chinese company, I've got a single board server, I am not running Proxmox, I've got no proper separation of concerns, and apparently I'm trusting 2.5-inch SSDs over enterprise drives. Honestly, the list goes on and on and on. And yet somehow this £250 setup I've got in front of me is the most reliable, easiest to manage, and lowest maintenance homelab I've ever run. It just works. And I actually use it on a daily basis instead of spending my weekends trying to fix it. Now, full disclosure, IceWhale, the company behind the ZimaBoard 2, sent me this as well as the hard drive cage to review. Now, before we get into why breaking the rules has worked so brilliantly, let me show you what we're actually working with here. So as mentioned, this is the ZimaBoard 2, and on paper, it looks like it shouldn't be good enough for any kind of decent homelab setup. It's got Intel M150 CPU, that's apparently only a 4-core chip and tops out at 3.6 GHz. It's not exactly a powerhouse, is it? It's also got 16 GB of LPDDR5X RAM, and here's what I actually really like, because it comes with built-in 64 GB of eMMC storage, and this is where ZimaOS is pre-installed on. Now, as mentioned, IceWhale also sent this hard drive cage out to me, and I genuinely think it's a brilliant design. See, the ZimaBoard 2 screws directly on top of the cage with the included screws. Now, taking a look at this little thing here, on one end, you've got 2 SATA ports as well as the power connection. And it also comes included with a cable that can power both drives simultaneously as well pass through the data. Now, taking a look at the front of the board, you've got dual 2.5 gig Ethernet ports. Now, you also get 2 USB 3 ports as well as a mini display port and a power input. Now, speaking of power, it comes included with a 60-watt brick. So you won't be doing anything mad with that PCI slot that's hanging off the side, but it's good enough for most applications. Now, how I've got it configured here is with 2.5-inch SSDs inside the hard drive cage. Now, I've also gone ahead and added a 1TB NVMe drive into the PCI slot with the help of an adapter. And first impressions, I've played around with Jellyfin, I've installed a few Docker containers, I've done some file sharing around the house, and honestly, it's been running perfectly. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's talk about the rules I've supposedly broken. So rule number 1, never trust closed source software. Now, ZimaOS, as mentioned, is a closed source software. And yeah, I get it. That makes a lot of people nervous. But here's what's actually happened. I took the ZimaBoard out the box, I plugged it into the Ethernet port, I plugged it into power, turned it on, and within 5 minutes, I had a couple of Docker containers running. And here's the thing that nobody actually talks about. See, I can just wipe the eMMC storage because it's just an x86 board and install Ubuntu if I wanted to, or any other Linux flavor that I'd like. I can even put Proxmox on here if I wanted to. The hardware is completely open and I'm just choosing convenience right now, but I'm not locked in at all. And I think this is where the difference lies. Now, rule number 2, you need enterprise grade equipment. Right, so my electricity bill would like a word with anyone who says I need enterprise gear, because trust me, I used to have a 14-core 28-thread Dell 5810. This whole setup, as it is right now, pulls about 10 to 15 watts under normal load. My old server, the proper one I've just mentioned, was idling at around 80 watts. And the thing I've not even touched on is the fact that it is completely silent. Now, this for me is absolutely priceless. Rule number 3, separate services across machine. See, everyone says you need a separate PC for your storage, your networking, your compute, whatever. But look at this. I've got a PCI slot. And right now I'm running a 1TB NVMe for fast storage, but I could easily swap that for a dual NIC card if I needed to for some reason. And as I mentioned, I've also got the 2 SATA ports, so I could potentially whack in a couple of 8TB drives if I felt like it. So essentially, I could have 4 separate storage devices on this little board. And okay, I'll give you that. It doesn't have 32 or 64 gig of RAM, but to be honest with you, the 16 gig I've got is absolutely ridiculously fast, as it is clocked at 6400 megahertz, and it is plenty for all the Docker containers that I'm running. Rule number 4, you must run Proxmox. Now, don't get me wrong, Proxmox is absolutely brilliant, and I've done loads of videos on it, so make sure you check them out as I'll have them linked down below. But I do not need 17 VMs. I just want Docker containers. I need Jellyfin, I might play around with Nextcloud, I also play around with Technetium DNS, and every one of those applications that I need runs inside of Docker. Now, I know you might be eyeing up this PCI slot, but unfortunately, because the power brick is only 60 watts, I will not be able to run an external GPU, even though it's a PCI 3x4 slot. Okay, so far, I know what you're thinking. I've been really positive about it, and it probably sounds too good to be true. So what's the catch? Now, the first thing I did after unboxing the ZimaBoard 2 and the hard drive cage is just mount the ZimaBoard 2 to the hard drive cage with the included screws. I then went ahead and installed the 2.5-inch SSDs via the adapters into the cage. connected the SATA cable, and that was it. We were basically up and running. And then a super cool thing, as I mentioned, is that essentially all you need to do is just turn it on, because ZimaOS comes pre-installed on the eMMC. So I don't need to connect it to a monitor. I don't need to do anything like that. It's literally just plug it into the network and you're up and running. So far, I've only given you a rundown of the specs, but can they actually handle real work? Jellyfin has been transcoding 1080p content to multiple devices. I've had 2 streams running and the temperature was sitting around 75 to 80 degrees, occasionally cropping up to 90 degrees if I was really pushing it with a 4K movie. Now, networking wise, this is where it gets really impressive, I think. I ran iPath 3 tests and I was able to saturate the 2.5 gig connection quite easily. Absolutely no issues whatsoever. Now, obviously a 2.5 gig Ethernet connection will not saturate the SSDs, but they've had absolutely no problems whatsoever. The SATA ports work just as expected. Now look, I'm not going to stand there and tell you that it replaces a proper server if you're running 50 VMs and processing 4K video all day. But this is a device for most of us who actually want to do the basics in a home lab, such as file storage, media streaming, some Docker apps, and then maybe some light automation. Now, okay, let's talk about what's not so good about this, because I'd be lying if it was perfect for everyone. Now, first up, the closed OS source. I get it. I know it's a real concern. You're trusting a company you might not know much about with your data. See, my take is I can always wipe the eMMC and install proper Linux anytime I want. But if that makes you uncomfortable, then obviously this device is not for you. Now, the second point is virtual machines. See, if you need to run Windows Server VMs or build some massive Proxmox cluster, then again, this isn't for you. The N150 can handle some light VMs through ZimaOS, but it's not a virtualization powerhouse. I'm running Docker containers, not a data center. Now, next on the list is that PCI slot that I've talked about a bit. Right now, I'm just using NVMe storage, which is brilliant. But you can obviously only use it for one thing at a time. So if you want dual NIC for more network ports, then you lose the NVMe. And last but not least, if you're the type of person that needs 10 gig networking, multiple PCI NVMEs in RAID, ECC memory, basically, if you're looking to run production workload, you need something beefier, then obviously this is not for you. But I don't think you're watching this video because you're that type of person. This ZimaBoard 2 is for actual home lab use, not for enterprise. And here's the thing, most of us, as much as we like to lie to ourselves, do not need enterprise kit. So here's what I've discovered after 2 weeks of ignoring all the proper advice. I actually use this home lab, not maintain it, not troubleshoot it, but I actually use it. And that's the point everyone misses when they're arguing about enterprise gear and proper hypervisors. A home lab is meant to be useful, not a second job. Breaking the rules meant I built something that fits my actual life instead of some theoretical setup that exists only on Reddit. Physical setup is brilliant. The board mounted to the hard drive cage means everything is contained in one unit. 2 SATA SSD for bulk storage, NVMe for fast access, and the built-in eMMC means the OS doesn't even touch my main storage. It's compact, it's quiet, actually it's completely silent because it's fanless, and it just sits there doing its job. Is it the most powerful home lab? Absolutely not. Is it the most proper setup? Definitely not. But it's the first one I've built that I haven't felt the need to rebuild a month later because it was too complicated or too expensive or too loud. And trust me, I've been there many, many times. So for £250, I've got a server that just works. And honestly, that's worth more than any amount of theoretical performance I'll never actually use. But I'd love to know, what home lab rules have you been told to follow that you're thinking about ignoring? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this useful, hit that like button and subscribe because I've got some more content about this coming. Right now, I'm off to actually enjoy my home lab instead of fixing it. So I'll see you in the next one.